Hi everyone, Foxes here, and welcome to my December book haul part 2. This part is gonna be all about YA and middle grade books. So let's get started. And the first book that I have here is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this seems to be a theme of this book haul where I have a lot of books that have to do with Wonderland or Alice in Wonderland or something about that. So I'm pretty sure I have my own copy of Alice in Wonderland, no idea where it is. I didn't have it here, so I decided to purchase this one. It's the same edition as my Peter Pan copy. Very pretty, it has illustrations and those, I think it's called like French flaps? I don't know what it is called, but I like this edition. I think it's really pretty. I got it from Book Outlet and it was fairly cheap. So I'm looking forward to rereading this one. Next I have a copy of Gretel and the Dark by Eliza Granville. And this is some sort of weird historical novel plus a fairy tale retelling. It is about a girl who lives in a post-Nazi Germany, and there is also a psychoanalyst in Vienna, which gives me a lot of vibes similar to The Dangerous Method. That is a movie with Keira Knightley and Michael Fassbender about Freud and psychoanalysis and all of that. So this is supposed to be a YA novel just because the main protagonist is a teenager and the girl who tries to escape the reality in fairy tales. I don't really know much about this book or about this author. I saw this book on Book Outlet and I looked at the description and I thought that it really fits my fairy tales kind of craving right now. I've been on a pretty, steady fairy tales retellings and fairy tales in general streak, so I decided to pick this one up. Don't really know much about it, and it doesn't have that a really high rating on Goodreads. I think it's about like 3.5 or 3. Maybe like 4. I think it's 3.5. It is a pretty low rating for a book. Usually I do not pick up books with such low ratings unless they're recommended to me. I'm usually not very fond of this historical period, but this one might be interested if there is not enough of magical realism or fairy tales in it. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to it sometime soon. Next I have a copy of Bone Gap by Laura Roby. And this is one of those books that keeps popping up on Book Outlet, and I keep looking at it and thinking, I might like you. So I finally decided to pick this one up. It is a YA magical realism type of story. It is about a girl who goes missing and there is a boy who knows what happened to her, and apparently there is some supernatural stuff happening in this little town which is called Bone Gap. I find it really curious. I like the title and I like the fact that there is a bee on a cover. So I have not really read that many young adult magical realism novels, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Please let me know down below if you read it, because I think it's been quite popular in BookTube. At least I've seen a couple of people mention it in their videos. Next I have a copy of Redwall by Brian Jacques, and this is book number 1 in his series. This is middle grade and it has to do with mice and medieval times. Since I read Mouse Guard, which I really enjoyed, those are a fantastic graphic novel series about mice and their little world, and I just love those mice. I remember reading those and being so in awe with the fact that the author managed to create this world with those little mice, and how their world makes total sense, like how they have natural enemies and they also have their own legends and their crafts and their little societies. I just loved it. So Becca, hi Becca, I mentioned that I should read this series, and I've seen Brian Jacques' books a lot online, and they do pop up on my Goodreads recommendations. I've never read them, so I decided to pick book number 1. Thank you Book Outlet for having them in stock. This one is a kind of like battered copy. but I'm excited to read it. It is definitely middle grade fantasy, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what it's about. I don't know, I feel as if like I'm probably one of very few people who've never read this series. Anyway, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Brian Jacques correctly. I feel as if this last name should be read as if like in the French way. Is it Jack or Jacques? I hope it's not Jax. That would be weird. Next, I have a copy of The Archived by Victoria Schwab. And Victoria Schwab is just my auto-buy author. Ever since I read Vicious, I was just like, okay, I just need to buy every single book that she writes. So I don't care. I'll just buy all of them. I honestly don't know much about this book or about this series. I know that it's not finished yet, and Victoria is yet to write the final book in the trilogy or maybe in the series, but I'm pretty sure I will like it. I've read not that much by Victoria Schwab, and I'm looking forward to reading more of her books. I just realized that she's just one of those people who writes perfectly, at least perfectly for me, so I decided to pick this one up. I just saw it on a shelf and I needed to buy something to cheer myself up, so I got this one. And it's blue, and I like blue. That's my excuse for everything. Oh, this is just the author that I like. Oh, this cover is blue. Oh, I heard something good about this book. I have no willpower. Next, I have a copy of The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi, and this is book number 1 in a trilogy. It is a YA fantasy novel, and the main protagonist is cursed. There is also a lot of horoscopes and mythology involved in a story, which is very unique. I don't think I've ever read a fantasy book that has to do with horoscopes. And this is also a book which is not set in a European type of society. That is a different type of society, and ever since reading An Ember in the Ashes, I absolutely was craving something different, you know, not a like medieval England type of fantasy world, but something different, and this one seems to be like that, so I'm looking forward to reading this book. It is just book number 1. I think the cover is really pretty. I've been seeing it a lot everywhere, on BookTube, on Goodreads, and also Book Outlet, so I got my copy from Book Outlet relatively cheap, and I'm excited to read it. Hopefully it will happen sometime soon. God, I know I say that about every single book, but Jesus, I don't know where to find time. Seriously. Next, I have volume number 5 of Requiem of the Rose King by Aya Kano, and this is a manga series that I'm kind of obsessed with right now. I'm not going to say anything about it because I'm behind and I still haven't read previous volumes, but I was very happy to pick up volume number 5 because I want to have them all and I want to read them all the time because, yes, I'm obsessed. And the last but definitely not least, I have these 3 little books, and I actually have a story to tell. So about 2 weeks ago, I had my last class of French. I'm taking French courses, and our last class was actually not a regular class, but we went to a book fair. And that was something that was organized for free, like free admission at public library, and it had only Radio of Canada plus different publishers, and they all brought books only in French. So it was just like French-speaking books fair. My French is very basic. I was very intimidated by all those people speaking French. But I was excited to see books, and there were a lot of books. There were children books, there were like picture books, there were graphic novels, there were Harry Potter books, pretty much everything that there was a Scholastic, there were some, there was a public library. The fair itself was not very big. There were just few booths out there, but I went to all of them and I browsed a lot, and then at some point I was like, you know what, I might as well pick up some books because I'm currently on a break, and I know myself, I'll probably will not read all of them during the break, but I wanted to pick up some books. Obviously, since my French is very basic, I cannot really go for a real novel, so I picked up these books for kids, and I have two books for the ages between 6 and 9. These are books number 1 and 2 in the series. This is the book number 1, The Adventures of the Pirate LaBelle, and this is book number 2, which is absolutely adorable covers, seriously. And this is by Melissa Jacques. And this one is by Carol Dion, and this is ages 9 to 12, and this is about a girl who becomes a detective and she has to solve a crime with a chief of police. So I honestly, since my French is very basic, I wanted to pick up something which is for kids, you know, would be very easy to read, and something which is very short. And these books are like 70 pages. Well, this one is a bit thicker, so maybe like 100. But they're super, super cute and adorable, and I love these covers. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. So obviously I will not read all of them during my break. I'm not even gonna try, because it would take me a while to go through even one book. But I wanted to have something to, you know, just try, because I need to really, you know, get on my French game here. And I did my best, and I read the back covers, and just to see if I will be able to understand what is the book about, and I looked at the first pages. I know that I will struggle a bit with those, but I need to practice my French, people, so these are the ones, and they're so adorable. Honestly, I'm in love with this cover. It's the name of the publisher, but I bought these books from Scholastic Booth, so I assume they're kind of related, or maybe it's just these editions, I don't know. But super cute covers. I honestly, if you have anyone, like any French speaking kids, just and some of the books that I saw there, especially picture books, were fantastic. I know that a lot of them are basically the same ones as English ones, but some of them were kind of unique, and I really liked the covers. I was just browsing there for about like an hour and a half. That was fantastic. So yeah, I mean, the power of books makes me even speak French, like 3 sentences maybe. Yeah. Well, this is it, guys. This is the end of my second part of December book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down below if you read any of the books that I mentioned either in this part or part number 1. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!